खुदा में रज़वी हो।
Before I continue any further, let us all together direct our hearts and our minds and our thoughts to the most beautiful and the most glorious and the most adorable place in the universe, to the sacred and the holy and the Mubarak court of the beloved Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And in doing so, let us collectively recite the Durood Sharif upon the beloved Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And before you recite this Durood, let me tell you something. Before you recite this Durood, let me tell you that this Durood, when it is recited in a majlis, when this Durood is recited in a mahfil, when this Durood is recited in a gathering, then you will find that there are numerous blessings. You know, if you recite Durood Sharif, your 10 sins are forgiven. We all know that. We know if you recite one Durood, 10 sins are forgiven. What happens? You attain 10 good deeds. And your status is elevated by 10-fold. Not by 10, but by 10-fold your status is elevated. One thing. But when you sit in a majlis and in a mahfil and you recite Durood, when you recite Durood from your zuban, from your tongue, from your mouth, there emanates a khushbu. There comes a fragrance that when that fragrance leaves your mouth, it ascends into the skies. That fragrance ascends into the skies, and even though you and I cannot scent that fragrance, the malaika that are passing over are able to smell that fragrance of the Durood that has come out of your zuban, and they descend into that mahfil immediately. That this is the mahfil of the remembrance of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So let us turn our hearts towards Madinatul Munawwara and together recite Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina wa Nabiyyina Mawlana Muhammadin wa ala ali Sayyidina Mawlana Muhammadin salatin daimatan maqbulatan tu'addi biha anna qawl azim. आपकी तलअत को देखा जान, आपकी तलअत को देखा जान दी कब्र में पहुंचा तो देखा आपकी तलअत, I'm going to translate. आपकी तलअत को देखा जान दी कब्र में पहुंचा तो देखा आप है. I saw your luminance and radiance and your vestiges and I gave my life. आपकी तलअत को देखा जान दी या रसूल अल्लाह sallallahu alaihi wasallam फिदात अबी व उम्मी. I saw your radiance. आपकी तलअत को देखा. I saw your appearance. Jan, I surrendered my life. Jan dena, it is to surrender, to give. What is the Qutbul Afthab of his zamana? Subhanallah. Huzur Sayyidi Sarkar Taj Sharia radiallahu anh saying here. He's saying, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he's talking about the moment when death comes to you. The moment when maut comes to you. And before I tell you about this, let me just share something with you. That last night in the masjid I talked about the history of Palestine. And I talked about our connection to Palestine and to Baytul Maqdis. And I explained last night the condition of the Muslim Ummah very briefly. Because I said maut, because I said that, I want to remind myself, and I want to remind all of you, that Allah has given us everything. Allah has given us everything. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. These hands with which we hold, Allah has given us. These eyes with which we see, Allah has given us. The ears with which we hear, Allah has given us. The food which we eat, Allah has given us. The water which quenches our thirst, Allah has given us. Our children that are in front of our eyes, Allah has given us. And our mothers and our fathers, Allah has given us. And you must value everything that Allah gives you. You must value everything that Allah gives you because it is precious. Because when Allah takes it away from you, when Allah takes it away from you, माँ बाप की कदर कौन करता है आज? How many are there that respect and honor their parents today? When we pick their janazas on our shoulders, then tears are flowing from our eyes and we are parishan. कि मेरे बाप की जनाजा उठ गया, my father's janaza has gone, my mother's janaza has gone. So we weep and we cry. And I say, what kind of weeping is this? Is this love or is this guilt? Is this love or is this guilt? Think about it. Everything Allah has given us. Why don't we value them? Why don't we honor them? When you look at a vintage car, if somebody owns a vintage car, a 1940, or a 1960 or 1947 Chevy, if somebody owns one of those cars, you call it a vintage, it's very valuable. You shine it, you polish it, you put it in your garage. Because it is more valuable than the new cars that you have bought today. Why is it so valuable? They say because it has history. It is a vintage. It is something that has very precious value. Allahu Akbar. A car, metal, because it came from a certain zamana. It is very important. It is very valuable. What is the value of your parents? We say that the older something becomes, the less valuable it is. Galat hai. The older it becomes, the more valuable it is. The more valuable it is. There used to be a budurg. There used to be a budurg, a very pious man, who used to live in Bareilly Sharif. And he used to sell roti. He used to sell bread. And he used to sell bread on the corner of a street in Bareilly Sharif. And he used to say, fresh bread, fresh roti, 1 rupee. And stale roti, 2 rupees. समझ गए बात? Fresh bread, 1 rupee. And stale bread, 2 rupees. So nobody had the himmat to say anything to him. Because वो जलाली थे. तो किसी को हिम्मत नहीं. People didn't have the courage to go and say to him that we think that it's going wrong here. The fresh one should be 2 rupees and the stale one should be 1 rupee. So nobody had the courage. However, one day one young man decided to approach him. And he went to him and he said, Baba, I think you are losing out here. He said, why? He said the fresh bread is supposed to be 2 rupees and the stale bread is supposed to be 1 rupees. He said, I'm saying right, you are not understanding. He said, I'm saying right, you are not understanding. He said, tell me, explain. He said, the stale bread is 1 day closer to the zaman of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The stale bread, ye roti ki baat hai. The stale bread, this is bread. The stale bread is 1 day closer to the zamana and the era of Rasulullah. So that bread is more valuable than the fresh bread. So your parents are more closer to the zamana of Rasulullah. Your grandparents are closer to the zamana of Rasulullah. Your mashayikh are closer to the zamana of Rasulullah. And the sahaba are the closest to the zamana of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Hence, those people 1400 years before are more valuable than anybody on this earth. They are the most valuable. And they were those who valued their lives. They were those who remembered their death. And let me tell you, where I started, I didn't forget. आपकी तलअत को देखा जान, आपकी तलअत को देखा, जान दी कब्र में पहुंचा तो देखा, आप है. I was talking about that. That's why I took you on a little spin in our language. I took you on a little tour and I brought you back. Because I said that. I got this habit when I lecture. If I say something and I feel it's important for you, I'll go in a round circle and come back again. Okay. So we came back to Aapki Talat ko dekha, jaan di, qabr mein pahuncha to dekha aap hai. Huzur Sayyidi Sarkar-e-Taaj Sharia radiallahu anhu is talking about the time of death. He says that when the angel of death, and he's going to come to everybody. I'm not going to be saved because Maulana. Atif Bhai is not going to be saved because he reads Sanat. Shaykh Imtiaz is not going to be saved because he is Allama Qari Ahmad Raza's son. Hazrat Maulana Atikur Rahman is not going to be saved because he is serving the deen. A businessman is not going to be saved because he has big business bank balance. A man who has 20 properties is not going to be saved because he has property. The angel of death is going to come to everybody. Death will come to everybody. You will have to taste it. I will have to taste it. It will come. It will come. There is no doubt about it. But Huzur-e-Taaj Sharia radiallahu anhu is saying that when my time comes, when the time of the pious servants and the believers comes, and the angel of death is about to come and remove their soul, you can't do anything about it. दुनिया की कोई ताकत नहीं रोक सकता. You can't stop him. But Huzur-e-Taaj Sharia is saying that when the angel of death comes to a ashik, when he comes to a ashik of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, then the angel of death is going to take out his soul. He knows it at that time. He can see everything. He's seeing the angel of death coming. He knows he's going to remove his soul. But he says an ashik at that time, when he sees the angel of death coming to remove his soul, on one hand he's seeing the angel of death, and the other one Rasul al-Pak ki didar. On the other hand he's seeing the beloved Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and on one hand he's seeing the angel of death. Angel is going to take out his soul, but he says, "Jab aapki talat ko dekha chance." When I saw the beloved Rasul, I didn't wait for the angel of death to come. I said, "No, Mustafa, I said, "Take it, my Nabi has come." Aapki talat ko dekha. Aapki talat ko dekha. Chandi, he said, I saw my Nabi and I sacrificed my life. I didn't wait for the angel of death to take it. I gave it away to the angel of death. My Nabi is present. What am I going to do with this now? What am I going to do? And he said, because I know that when I give my ruh like this, when I give it in the love of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, to qabr mein pahuncha to dekha. When I go into my grave, Ya Rasulullah, I'll see you. You know what? You and I, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. We are talking about the greatest personality in the universe. We are talking about the personality, that great personality. Leave alone his zat, leave alone his excellence. Hazrat Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu says, "Ma ra'aytu shay'an ahsana min Rasulillahi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam." I have not seen, he never say, "Ma ra'aytu rajul," or insan. He says, "Ma ra'aytu shay'an." He said, I have not seen anybody. I have not seen anything. I have not seen anything more beautiful than Allah's Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. I have not seen anything, not any man, not any human. I have not seen any shay, anything that has been created more beautiful than Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. और ये जो अबू हुरैरा की बोली है ना, यही बोली जिब्रील अमीन की है. What Abu Hurairah is saying is the same thing what Jibreel is saying. Jibreel says that I have scanned the east and the west. I have scanned the east and the west, and Jibreel scanning is not like our scanners. Jibreel scanning is not like our scanners. हमारी scanner तो Jibreel Amin के सामने fail. Our scanning is different. You need a machine to scan. Jibreel is from the Noor of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He scanned from the east to the west. He said, I have not seen anybody like Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu says, Ma ra'aytu shay'an ahsana min Rasulillahi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And Hazrat Sayyidina Jibreel says कि I've seen the east and I've seen the west and I've seen nobody like Muhammad Rasulullah. And Bareilly के अहमद रजा फरमाते हैं, our Imam Ahl Sunnah radiallahu anh, sitting there under the prayer, sitting on a broken mat in Bareilly Sharif, he says, यही बोले सिदरा वाले चमने जहां के थारे, यही बोले सिदरा वाले चमने जहां के थारे, सभी मैंने छान डाले, तेरे पाए का न पाया, तुझे यक ने यक बनाया, तुझे यक ने यक बनाया. और अहमद रजा का अख्तर रजा फरमाते हैं कि या रसूल अल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम, मुस्तफाए ज़ात यकता आप है, मुस्तफाए ज़ात यकता आप है, यक ने जिसको यक बनाया आप है, और आप जैसा कोई हो सकता नहीं. Nobody can be like him. Nobody can be like him. He is Muhammad Rasulullah. आज भारी देवबंदी, मैं जब तक रद्द नहीं करता हूं मेरे खाना हजम नहीं होता. लोग इससे गुमराह होने लगे क्योंकि रद्द करना छोड़ दिए. People are going misled and become sunnah kulliyah because we have stopped refuting. We have stopped refuting the enemy of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Hassan ibn Thabit, when Hassan ibn Thabit stood on the mimbar of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and when he praised the beloved Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Hassan didn't only praise, he also opposed the enemies of Rasulullah. And when he opposed the enemies of Rasulullah, the beloved Nabi said, Hassan, sunate jao. Hassan, carry on doing this. For as long as you are doing this, Jibrail's hand is on your shoulder. Oh, Jibrail is supporting you. So hum wahi sunnat ada karte hain. Whether it's the Wahhabis, whether it's the Deobandis. Look at the name, but don't say the name, people will get hurt. Nahi chalta, not in my book. If I don't tell you how the thief is, how are you going to recognize? If I don't tell you the name of the thief, example, Salman bhai bete. और सलमान भाई के बराबर इमरान भाई बेटे. अब मैं इमरान भाई को चोर नहीं बता रहा हूँ, मैं एग्जाम्पल दे रहा हूँ, वरना कर सब उनको बोले कि मौलाना ने चोर कह दिया. He's sitting next to him. वो somebody else, इमरान भाई को निकाल दीजिए पिक्चर में से. And I say to Salman, you know, you must be careful, always make sure you put your hand in your pocket when you're sitting in the gatherings. Be careful that you don't have too many big notes, you know, because there could be thieves around. And Salman bhai goes home, and he hangs his kurta and he takes out the wallet. But when he opens it, it's empty. And he calls me and he says, Maulana, you were right. Do you know, you told me to be careful, that there are thieves around. When I came home and I opened my wallet, it's empty. I said to him, Salman, you know who took it? No, I'm not telling either of the brothers that are sitting here. Do you know who took it? It's the guy that was next to you. I knew him from before as a thief. He says, Maulana, what's your problem? Uska naam to batate, main apne paise ko bacha deta. You should have told me who he is. उसकी निशानदेही कर लेते. आप बोल रहे किसी ने कहा, किसी ने, somebody could have stolen. Somebody कौन है भाई? When you knew, why didn't you tell me? So now I'm telling you, so on the day of Qiyamah, you don't say I didn't tell you. These are the enemies of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So I'm saying that Hazrat Sayyidina Hassan ibn Thabit, Hazrat Sayyidina Abu Hurairah radiallahu, Hazrat Sayyidina Jibril Amin alayhi salatu wasalam, and Hazrat Azimul Barakat, and all the beloveds are telling us, they are telling us that this is Muhammad Mustafa, the greatest sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Fidat Abi Ummi is the greatest in the creation. Please, if I pass your time and you tired, I know the mothers and sisters need to eat also. So you had Rohani visa, you need Jismani visa also. Otherwise you're going to say, Maulana speaks too much, don't call him next time. Okay? Magar, I'm going to fight with them. They took most of the time. MashaAllah. Allah give them barakat. Naaz Sharif is our ruin also. Like Shaykh Imtiaz was telling me. So, all of them, all the beloveds of Allah, and I'm going to come back to that share that I started with just now. All the beloveds of Allah are saying, Subhanallah, that there is nobody like Rasulullah. That is why we are making his mawlud. That is why we remember him. And how can you not remember him? How can you not remember him who didn't forget you when he came into this dunya? When he was in this dunya, as he entered, Ya Rabbi ummati, ummati. When he was walking on the streets of Medina, ummati, ummati. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. When he was about to travel on the Burak, to go beyond the skies and to see his Rabb, Ya Rabbi Ummati, Ummati. Every moment our Nabi remembered us in his life. And when you remember the Nabi, then you are making bid'ah and shirk. It's impossible. It's impossible. Every moment he remembered us. How many times, I want to ask you, and I'm asking myself, I want to ask you, I'm not saying one day, I'm not saying 10 days, I'm saying in a year, how many times do you shed a tear in the love of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? एक साल के अंदर कितने आंसू बहते आपकी आंखों से हुजूर की मोहब्बत में? ये दिखावे वाले नहीं. You're sitting in your home and you think of Allah's Nabi, or you go to the holy court of the beloved Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and you are standing in front of the Ummah Khadra of the beloved Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The first thing that you see, tell me, when you go to Medina, remind me, I must come back to the Sharif. When you go to Medina Sharif, and your car starts coming, your taxi that you're coming in, starts coming into the city of Medina, what do you look for? Do you look for the best hotel while you come in? Even though you know I have the best hotel, what do your eyes see? Hotel? Does it seek something else? From any angle, this is the shan of the heart of an ashik. When he's looking through the window of the car, he's looking through the windscreen of the driver, he's saying, let me see if I can see my Nabi's Muhammad. Let me see if I can find the sacred green dome of Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam. What is the reason for this? What is the reason for this? It is because you are the lucky one that in your heart Allah put Ishq Mustafa. Till Qayamat you make shukr for this, it won't be enough. It will not be enough. The beloved Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam is the greatest in Allah's creation. There never was anybody like him, there isn't anybody like him. The beloved Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam, that beloved of Allah, that Habib, that in every moment he thought of us. When you see the Kumbh-e Khadra, tears flow from your eyes. And when you stand in front of the Roza Rasul, do you know that Roza? Do you know that Roza of the beloved Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam? And there is consensus amongst all the scholars, amongst all the ulama, there is consensus that that sand, that holy dust of the Rawza Adhar of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, that is touching the Jism Adhar of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, is greater than the Arsh Azam. It is greater than the Arsh Azam. You are standing there in the court of Rasulullah. Aaj bahut bura hal ho gaya, keh lene do. Bahut bura hal ho gaya. When you go to Rasulullah's darbar, jaan, dil, hosh aur khirat, sab to Madine pahunch jaye. Tum nahi chalte raza, sara to saman. But when you are there, what should you be doing? What should you be doing? You should be standing with adab. Your heart should be directed to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Your eyes should be lowered with sharam and haya. And in your heart you should know that even though I cannot see my Nabi is seeing me. My Nabi is seeing me. Not at that time to pull your phone out and start taking a selfie. Not at that time to do haram in the court of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Not at that time to divert your attention towards sin. At that time to divert your attention to your Nabi and say, Ya Rasulallah, मैं मुजरिम हुआ था. मैं मुजरिम हुआ था. मुझे साथ ले लो कि रास्ते में है जा बजाता है. You need to do this and understand that this is that haram. कि haram की जमीन और कदम रख के चलना. हरम की जमीन और कदम रख के चलना, अरे सर का मौका है हो जाने वाले. This is that quote of Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam, that tears should flow from your eyes. That's why I asked, in a month, in a year, how many of us drop even one tear in the love of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam? Yet your Nabi is that. Our Nabi is that Nabi. कि अल्लाह क्या जहन्नम, अल्लाह क्या जहन्नम अब भी न सर्द होगा, अरे रो रो के मुस्तफा ने दरिया बहा दिए. The beloved Nabi spent nights weeping tears and oceans for his ummah. For us, my beloveds, आपकी तलाश को देखा जान, आपकी तलाश को देखा जान दी, कब्र में पहुंचा तो देखा आप है. When an ashik surrenders his life, when the angel of death comes to him, when the ashik waits for that moment when he's going to go into his grave, and when he enters that grave, he's going to wait. इंतजार में होता है. He has to wait for that moment, that when he gets into his grave, he's concerned about his sins, he's concerned about his difficulties, he's concerned about all the manzils that he has to face. But one thing his heart is glowing about, he knows that I saw the Gumbad-e Khazra all my life, I saw the sacred dome all my life. Today I am going to see the king who rests under that dome. Today I am going to see Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam. And subhanallah, 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 we go into our graves, we who Allah has blessed us, the Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'at, when we go into our graves, we all will say that when we got there, aapki talash ko dekha, jaan di, qabr mein pahuncha to dekha, aap hai. When I reach my grave, I found you there. But subhanallah, this is you and I. When I reached my grave, I found you there. In other words, we are hopeful that Allah's beloved Nabi will shower us with His mercy. But subhanallah, this is you and us. But when it came to Siddiq Akbar, and when he was put into his grave, and he turned, aapki talash ko dekha, jaan di, Abu Bakr qabr mein pahuncha to dekha aapne. He saw beside him the beloved Rasul sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam. What do we learn? Subhanallah. Subhanallah. What do we learn? We learn that there is no man that walked this earth. There is no man that walked this earth which is greater than the greatest of men. And that is Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Let me take you back a little bit very quickly to yesterday's talk. I was telling you about Baitul Maqdis and my mothers and my sisters and my daughters and my brothers and my fathers and my sons that are listening to me tonight. Every time you look at your daughter, every time you look at your son, look at those mothers who have lost their children in Palestine. Look at those who have lost their homes. Look at those whose children are being slaughtered in front of them. Every time you think of being unappreciative and ungrateful, हमें हर चीज मिलती है, we get everything but we don't appreciate. We still say food is not good enough. We still say the house is not big enough. We still say the car is not fast enough. Go and ask the same question to the people in Palestine. उनके दिल पे क्या गुजर रही होगी इस वक्त? Have you ever thought about this? We say, I stand with you. Palestine, I stand with you. How? Let's be honest. We have to be straight about it. How do you stand with them? By eating half a plate of the food that your mother cooked and threw the other half in the bin because you don't like it. And I stand with Palestine? I'm sitting with the enemies of Rasulullah and I stand with Palestine? This is hypocrisy. If you stand with them, it means you must follow Shariat Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I said this as food for thought. But let's go back. The Battle of Baitul Maqdis. the battle of Baytul Maqdis. When Hazrat Sayyidina Abu Ubaidah bin Jarrah radiallahu ta'ala anhu requested Sayyidina Farooq Azam radiallahu ta'ala anhu to come to Baytul Maqdis. Why? Because the patriarch, the leading and the chief of the Christians at that time, he said that this place will not be defeated because it has been written in our books, in our past books, that there will come a Muslim leader whose name will be Umar and his title will be Farooq. Allah. When he comes, then it will fall. Abu Ubaidah, it won't fall to you. What's your name? Abu Ubaidah, it's not going to fall to you. So Hazrat Abu Ubaidah, I'm recapping from last night very quickly. Hazrat Abu Ubaidah radiallahu anhu, what did he say? He said, thank you for telling me this. He said, the one who you're talking about is our leader. He's sitting in Madinatul Munawwarah, the Khalifa of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And you know Abu Bakr, Allahu Akbar, एक दूसरे से कैसे मोहब्बत करते थे. How much the Sahaba loved each other. You know when Hazrat Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq became the Khalifa, if you ask the ulama, they will tell you. Then Hazrat Abu Bakr Siddiq used to write with his name Khalifa of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He used to write with his name the Khalifa of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. When Hazrat Umar became the Khalifa, he never used to write Khalifa of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, although he was. Because of the love of Hazrat Abu Bakr, he used to write the Khalifa of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. The Khalifa of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. When he came, so in brief, Hazrat Umar Farooq receives a letter. It's not like today, send an email and come over here. But it was more powerful. Because they sat there, they knew what was coming to them. He journeyed from Medina Sharif, he came to Baytul Maqdis. We know what happened, I told you about it last night. Those who were not there, you can ask those that were there. But I told and I explained the entire history, going back all the way to 8 Hijri. Okay? We told you that Hazrat Bilal al-Habshi radiallahu anhu was present in that army of Baytul Maqdis. He had come from Damascus and he called the azan in the presence of Hazrat Umar and all the Sahaba. Now something that I wanted to share with you yesterday, which is very important, and I'm going to end today with this and some dua. And not like yesterday where I said I'm going to end and I didn't end. Today I'm going to end. Noori Sharif, Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina wa Nabiyyina Mawlana Muhammad wa ala ali Sayyidina Mawlana Muhammad wa ashabihi wa barik wa sallim sallu alayhi salatu daimatan maqbulatan tu'addi biha Allah qawl azim. At that time a man came to Hazrat Umar during the battle of Baytul Maqdis. This one personality came to Hazrat Umar and he said to Hazrat Umar that my father was a very high priest and a highly educated man amongst the Jews. He was the chief rabbi. He was a very, very educated person in our book and in the past books. My father taught me everything. मेरे वालिद ने मुझे सब कुछ पढ़ाया था. ये शख्स आके हज़रत उमर से कहने लगे. He taught me everything. Whatever I know, he taught me. He taught me about what is in the past books. He taught me about this. He taught me about that. He gave me so much of ilm that he made me a very big alim of that deen of Judaism. He made me a great scholar. So whatever I learned from my father. He said, but when my father got very sick, and he was on his deathbed, this man is saying it to who? Hazrat Umar. Where is it saying? Palestine, Baytul Maqdis, Jerusalem. He's saying to him, but when my father was on his deathbed, and he was about to die, my father said to me, oh my son, he would say, Kariba jao, come near me. He said, I taught you everything that I knew. I gave you so much of ilm. I educated you, and there's nothing that I have not told you that I know. But he said, there's one thing I never tell you. There's one thing I never tell you. When I die, you must look in the air vent of the house, where the light comes into the house. The skylight, Roshandan. You must look there. I'm being very short. You will find a letter. something that I've written. And you must open it. And you must read it, but only after I die. The ulama will tell you about it. Only after I die. You must open it and read it. And not long after that, his father died. But people started to come to visit because of the death of his father. They came to pay their respect. They came to mourn. They came to greet him and sit in his house. And many days went. Now he's telling this to Hazrat Umar. Khud apne zuban se. This man is saying. And he said many days went by. Many days went by. And finally when all the mehmans stopped coming, and I was alone in my house, even though the people were coming, I was bechain ki us roshandan ke andar kya rakha hua hai? What is kept in that ventilation system, in that skylight area? He said, finally, when I was alone, I went and I opened that place. And I found a document, a letter. And I opened it. And when I opened it, it said, La ilaha illallah. Battle of Baitul Maqdis. It said, La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And he is that Rasul who is Khatamun Nabiyyin. Oh my son, I am telling you about him. Who is Khatamun Nabiyyin. And he is him who no Nabi will come after. He will be born in Makkah and he will migrate to Taibah. He will be born in Makkah and he will migrate to Taibah. All that had happened already. Because this is much after. But he's telling it was written. Because he didn't know when he would die. He was born in Makkah and he migrated to Taibah. And this place, Taibah, Madinah al-Munawwara, is a place of Aman. It is a place of refuge. He is that man who will not speak disrespectfully. Nor will he be rude. He will not speak bekar and useless words. His ummah will be those who praise Allah. His ummah will be those who praise Allah. And they will praise Allah in every state. When they are parishan, they will say Alhamdulillah. And when they are pleased, they will say Alhamdulillah. All this is written there. He said their tongues will be busy in takbir and ta'aleem. And he said that Nabi will be given special and divine madad from the court of Almighty Allah. And he said every person who fights that Nabi is the enemy of that Nabi and the enemy of Allah. All this is written in this. And this man is telling Hazrat Umar about it. And he said the sign of this ummah is that they will wash their private parts. They will wash after they go to the bathroom. And they will cover their satar. They will cover their private parts of the body. He is telling you that which his father wrote and he read in the books of the past. Okay? They will cover their satar. And he said, oh my son, their hearts will flow with hidayat. Their hearts will flow with hidayat. And they will be kind to each other. Like how the past Anbiya were kind to their ummats. That's how they will be kind to one another. And he said on the day of Qiyamah, his ummah will be the first to enter Jannah. On the day of Qiyamah, his ummah will be the first to enter Jannah. And the ummah of this Nabi will work hard for the sake of Iman. And because they have reached this level of piety, the pious ones will be given the tawfiq to make shafa'at on the day of Qiyamah. They will make intercession through the sadaqah of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. When this man said all of this to Hazrat Umar al-Faruq radiallahu anh, he said, my father taught me all this. He said, but then I heard that Nabi has become Zahir. And I heard then that Nabi left the dunya. I heard he became Zahir. Then after some time I heard he left the dunya. This man had become very old. He left the dunya. And he said, then I thought, maybe this is not the one my father spoke about. Because he has left. He said, that night when I slept, I saw the skies opening in a dream. And I saw angels descending and they were saying, we have come to take Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam as he has departed from this dunya. He said, again I got yaqeen that this is Allah's Habib, the greatest man in the universe. This is Allah's most beloved Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So he said, I tried to go to Medina, but he said, I could not manage to go. Then I heard about his passing, and then I heard his Khalifa has become a man by the name of Abu Bakr Siddiq. He said, then I tried to go to Medina, but I still could not get to go to Medina. And he said, today I was told that there is Abu Bakr's Khalifa, who is known as Omar, who came to conquer Baitul Maqdis. Oh Umar, today I have come before you and I have told you what is in the past books of your Nabi, and I told you the maqam of your Nabi, and oh Umar, I know your status as well, and that is why I have come to accept Islam on your hand today. And the man that accepted that Islam is Hazrat Sayyidina Ka'b Ahbar radiallahu ta'ala anhu. Hazrat Ka'b Ahbar radiallahu anhu, that great personality whose knowledge, it will astound your minds. His love for Allah and His beloved Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And when Ka'b Ahbar radiallahu anhu accepted Islam at the hand of Umar Farooq radiallahu ta'ala, I want you to pay special attention to this. And this is the last part of that narration. And as I said, I'm going to end with it. The last part of that narration, that Hazrat Umar Farooq, when he accepts Islam jab kabul karte hai, to Hazrat Umar Farooq radiallahu anhu gives him an invitation. Khalifa Rasul gives Hazrat Ka'b Ahbar an invitation, a da'wat. He says, I invite you to travel with me to Madinatul Munawwara. Check. वो अभी क्या लिखते हैं, दूर से सफर करके किसी कब्र की तरफ जाना, हजरत क्या है, शिर्क है. It's not allowed. It is polytheism. It is innovation that you must travel from somewhere to go and visit any grave. Any man who travels to do this, he has committed this big sin, they say. और यहाँ उमर फारूक का अहबार को कह रहे, मैं दावत दे रहा हूँ कि मदीने जाओ. Come with me to Medina. And do you know what he says? Come with me to Medina so you may visit the Rosa of the beloved Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he doesn't stop there. He said, when you visit the Rosa, then come with me to take the benefit and the barakat of the Rosa Mubarak of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Whoever has visited my grave, the Nabi said he has visited me. My beloveds, we are the ummah of that Nabi. We are the ummah of that Nabi. That when he stood on a mountain and he pointed his finger, then the moon spread its chest into. We are the ummah of that Nabi. That when he was in his cradle and he moved his finger, the चांद झुक जाता जिधर उंगली उठाते महद में, चांद झुक जाता जिधर उंगली उठाते महद में, क्या ही चलता था इशारों पर खिलौना नूर था. We are the Nabi, ummah of that Nabi. That when Hazrat Mawla Ali radiallahu anhu's namaz Asr became qaza and sahwa, then he stood outside and he pointed to the sun. And the sun knew that when the Nabi points to the moon, it splits in two. I am the sun. When he points to me, I am his slave and his ghulam. Then what happened? Suraj ulte paav palte. Suraj ulte paav palte. Chand ishare se ho cha. अंधे नचती देख ले कुदरत रसूलुल्लाह. We are the ummah of that Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that when he gave his pasina mubarak to a girl who was going to be married, then not only did she become mu'attar, her children who were born became mu'attar, their children became mu'attar. And that is why Allah Hazrat Alimul Barakat radiallahu anhu says कि वल्लाह जो मिल जाए मेरे गुल का पसीना. And my Murshid says वल्लाह जो मल जाए मेरे गुल का पसीना, मांगे न कभी इधर न फिर चाहे दुल्हन को. Understand, remember, we are the ummah of the greatest of Allah's creation, the greatest personality in the universe. And if we talk about this, we can go on talking, because we're talking about the Nabi. It doesn't stop. You can take all the earth, the entire zameen, take it and turn it to paper. And take all the oceans and turn it to ink. And take all the trees and turn it to pens. You will not be able to finish writing the praise of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It is not possible. It is not possible. But I want to end by saying, isn't it time for us to change? Isn't it time for us to become better Muslims? Isn't it time for us, instead of sitting, and my young brothers and sisters, instead of sitting hours on social media, instead of sitting in your house gaming, when your mother calls you, you cannot even hear her. When your mother tells you, give me a glass of water, or your father tells you, give me a glass of water, you are deaf because you are busy gaming. When will you Drop that and pick up the Holy Quran. When will you stop talking and speaking disrespectfully and use the Zuban that Allah gave you to praise your beloved Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam? When are we going to realize the value of this which Allah gave us? When are you going to remember that when you die and when you go into your cover, none of these things are going to help you? Koi kaam aane wala nahi. All our money, all our property, all our buildings, koi kaam aane wala nahi. Nothing is going to help you. At that time, your iman, your ishq Rasul. You know, mothers have not gone to the graves. We men go. Did you see when you put anybody in the grave how it is? Mitti, sand. What do you do when you put a mayyat in the grave? You leave it open. Or you put air conditioning system. Or before you put them, you buy the most expensive bed. Or you put a nice windows. What do? You lay them on the sand, rich man, poor man alike. You lay them on the dust, a child and an elder alike, white and black alike. You lay them on the sand, and you cover them from the top. Absolutely dark. Itna andhera, so dark. I want you all to ask yourself a question today before I leave you. I'm asking myself. Dil pe haath rakhe. We are used to the comfortable beds in our homes. We are used to the 9 by 12 and double the size bedrooms. We are used to the 18,000 and 24,000 air conditioning system. We are used to just press a remote and you have all the LEDs lighting up your house. When you enter your grave, what are you going to do? Where's the bed? Where's the LED system? Where's the 12 and 24,000 BTU? Where's all those comforts inside the grave? Kya karoge? What are you going to do? There's only one way to solve this problem. Lahad mein ishq rukh shah qadam leke chale. Andheri raat suni thi chirag leke chale. Tere gulamo ka naqsh qadam hai raah khuda. Taj al-Sharia aur Muhaddis Kabir ka naqsh qadam hai raah khuda. Qaid al-Millat ka naqsh qadam hai raah khuda. Wo kya bahag sake jo ye surakh leke chale. When you go in your grave with the lamp of Rasulullah's love, and when Rasul Pak comes in our grave, and the angels ask you, what did you used to say about him? This Zat and this personality. Those who used to say big brother going to say big brother. Phir samjho kya hoga? Phir samjho kya hoga? But if any one of us is going to be asked, we're going to say this is our pyare Aka sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then you saying grave is dark, Maulana. How is going to get bright when that Nabi comes? Qabr mein lehrayenge, tahashar chashme noor ki. Qabr mein lehrayenge, tahashar chashme noor ke. Jalwa farma hogi jab talat Rasulullah. When you answer the question, the angels will say, what about this one who slept on the bed of the dunya? Put for him the bistar of Jannah. Open his cover as far as he can see. Open the windows of Jannah al-Firdaus. Or Jannah ki thandi hawaye aayenge. But all this will happen if you leave this dunya in the love of Allah and His Rasul. This is my message to you. Keep your iman strong. And the way to do it in this zamana is maslaki ala Hazrat. Hold to the way of ala Hazrat. Hold to the teaching of ala Hazrat. Yahan bhi kamyab hoge. Akhirat mein bhi kamyab hoge. This is a very brief discussion I've given you. It's shorter than the one I gave you last night, but still, I think it is enough. Samajdar ke liye ishara kafi hai. Allah grant us the tawfiq, and Allah bless us with firmness in deen. Allah bless us with respecting our elders.